Good morning. Happy Friday and welcome. Excited you all could join us today on the SCADAPack 47xi series. I'm going to be joined by special guest James Redman. I think he's here today. There he is. Wow, showing up from behind. What we'll do at this point is we're going to wait for everyone to start to get logged in. If you can see my screen here, there is just a little display of something called Kahoot. Not sure where you're at in your journey for remote operations, but the Kahoot is essentially just a little quiz platform. And if you go in and go to kahoot.it and then type in this game pin, you'll be able to be logged in, choose whatever name you want. And what it enables us to do is just have some interactive questions to start off, maybe get you a little more comfortable on what we're going to be discussing, and then we'll jump into the main topic here. So as you're getting logged in, if you see background behind me, this is the maneuvering area of an Ohio class submarine. Served for about 9 years in the Navy. And what was interesting about that is that we had 20 Trident D5 missiles on board. We would burn holes in the ocean, and we'd essentially just get out there, run in circles. We had a 2-mile long antenna. We were looking for nuclear command and control messages, right, to tell us to launch these nuclear weapons. So just like that environment, everything was critical. Every message had to be broken correctly, and all of the systems to receive and send those messages had some of the highest levels encryption known to man. The latest threat, if you've read the news, is malicious cyber attacks. And we understand that all of the nation's critical infrastructure is under attack on a day-to-day basis. And so we, as we're looking at all of our assets, we see that the RTUs, the things that are controlling our oil and gas pipelines, our water and wastewater infrastructure, they are going to be some of the primary targets for malicious actors. And so we've developed the SCADAPack with some of those threats in mind. Right now, looks like, I know, we only have 2 people in the Kahoot. It started out strong. There we go. I guess I don't know why I kind of kicked everybody out there, but if you want to log back in on the Kahoot, and we'll get started here shortly. If anybody's having issues, just throw out a hand in the chat. All right. Well, we're gonna go with these 5. Oh, 6. If there's anybody else coming, you got about 10 seconds left to get on. Here we go.
I mean, what did we? I would come out of the information here. Did he suggest?
All right, let's do it. All right, thanks for joining. So, the name of the game here is speed of response. So, the faster you can answer this, and in the most correct way, that is how you're going to get the most points. So the first question: where did the SCADAPack originate? Canada, Australia. All right. So the answer is actually Australia. Although there are some originations.
Just the series.
All right. Well, James, I apologize. I apologize for misleading the team here. You can blame myself later. It was the SCADAPack E series.
I probably wasn't clear when I suggested the question, so it's my fault.
See, this is what
actually, it's Taylor's fault. Taylor.
My fault. You can just blame me. It's fine.
Devin.
Yes, yes.
You're winning because of that. All right. What's the primary purpose of the SCADAPack remote telemetry unit? Here we go. We have ordering lunch from remote locations, playing retro video games on SCADA networks, hosting virtual yoga sessions, and monitoring and controlling remote industrial processes. Wow. Fantastic. 6 out of 6. Devin, you're in the lead. I don't know if we're going to have to make an adjustment later on or just throw that question out entirely. All right. This is a quick one. What feature would you like to see added to the SCADAPack over the next 2 to 3 years? So if you can type out, you got 20 characters, anything burning in your mind, anything you want to see added or supported for the future, we want to hear you now. If you weren't able to log on, you can also type this out into the chat as well. Okay, we got 6 seconds left. AI capabilities, lunch, cell modem, and more I/O. All right, fantastic. I think we might be able to address a couple of these in the presentation today. What do you think, James?
I think we can do that.
All right, so which protocol is commonly supported by SCADAPack RTUs at Morse code, smoke signals, DNP3, or HDMI? Wow, look at that. Got a seasoned crowd here. I think I made some of these too easy. All right, the SCADAPack RTU can operate in which of the following environments? See, I should have made these a little hard. Now, obviously, this is not a SCADAPack. This is artificial intelligence's version of a SCADAPack. But yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Harsh industrial conditions is the correct answer. All right, and then true or false, MQTT is supported on the I-Series SCADAPack. So here, this is kind of a newer protocol. It requires a broker. It's a form of telemetry transport. And yes, it is true. We're going to see how we can do that on the I-Series. All right. All right, max and min temp range of the SCADAPack. I know Navy guys, we like our numbers here. 50 to 1,000, minus 20 to 140, 0 to 120, minus 40 to 158. And of course, imperial units were used here. Waiting on that last. Yeah, so it is minus 40 to 158. Beautiful. Adam, rocketing up to the top here. HMIs can be built inside of the SCADAPack I-Series. True or false? Wow, you guys are on fire today. All right, so we're going to take a look at the podium here. In third, we have SCADA Shane. I don't know what this picture is of. Number 2, we got HD, and number 1, Adam. We got a special prize for you, Adam. We'll follow up with you after this show. So thank you for participating in the Kahoot. I'd now like to welcome you, special guest James Redman. James, you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here today?
Sure. My pleasure. So for those of you who don't have the misfortune of knowing me, my name's James Redmond. I live in Ottawa, Canada, and I've been with Schneider Electric, was it 12 years, I think? Might be 13, 12 and a half. Let's say 12 and a half. So I started out in R&D, working as a tester, assumed gradually through a series of convenient accidents, more and more responsibility, and eventually, about 4 or 5 years ago, they made me the global offer manager. So in that role, I'm now responsible for talking to fine customers, gathering requirements, doing analysis of where we see the industry going, and presenting R&D with a roadmap, telling them what they have to implement, what features they have to deliver, and in principle, when. Beyond that, boring things like marketing documentation, which is awesome, and generally ensuring the business, as in delivering, building, selling, engineering SCADAPacks, is in a healthy state. For those curious, before that, I worked both in uniform as a civilian in the defense industry, so I can tell you lots of fun things about that.
So one of the things for our audience, as we're going through, we're discussing some of these things, please feel free, use the chat, throw out questions. This is by no means a strict presentation. We'd much rather have you have some interaction and ask some questions, even hard questions. So, back to you, James.
Sure. Can someone see my slides?
We can see your slides.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, get to the right window. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about for a few minutes before I pass things over to my colleague Joe Durrance, who will do an exciting demonstration of a couple of these things. So we'll talk about the SCADAPack. So I understand a few of you are quite new to the SCADAPack, so I'll go over very briefly at least the basics. Then I'll focus more on some of our newest features, and specifically EcoStruxure RTU Operations Expert, or EROE, much more conveniently. Our new lift station libraries, which at least for some of the water-focused folk will be of interest. Provide a quick overview of a short-term roadmap, and then I'll pass it, after some questions, pass it over to Joe, who will demonstrate how some of this exciting stuff works. Okay, what's a SCADAPack? So we saw some of the exciting history behind it in the Kahoot. So SCADAPack is conventionally a remote terminal. Oh dear. A remote terminal. All right, I'm muting you, Shane. Okay, so it's a remote terminal unit, and as all remote terminal units were, it's designed to go sit out in a panel, out in the middle of nowhere, potentially in a harsh environment, and monitor the operations of the site. But of course, and this goes back many years, it also has the processing capabilities akin to a PLC, so it can run logic, has a flow computer built into it, so it's much more than that. And what you'll see the SCADAPack 47xi adds is the capability of a light, but very rugged, edge computer into that single package. So we pride ourselves on the flexibility using open protocols. So certainly it works extremely well with GeoSCADA. We and GeoSCADA collaborate, of course, to make them interoperable and provide lowest cost engineering value using the solutions together. However, it's an open system and you can use it with other systems as well. And cybersecurity, of course, has become a major emphasis on our work also. Okay, so SCADAPacks, I believe, have been around now 37 years. So we're approaching 240,000 supplied to the market, operating throughout the globe. Many man hours or person hours have been put into the development of it. Okay, so we'll start with our older mainline offer, SCADAPack 470 and 474. So this is really our essential RTU. So it covers your conventional telemetry protocols, CMP3, Modbus 104, has logic, massive event storage, includes our flow computer. Again, very tightly integrates with GeoSCADA. So you can use GeoSCADA to manage the configurations, to upload, download, monitor changes to the configurations. And of course, we have expansion IO available. So this is a very powerful, very rugged, conventional RTU. Also easy to use. And then what we did 2 years ago or so is we went ahead, we modified it, we added a second processing unit to add Linux to it. So it takes everything the 470 can do, and what the 470i or I series can do is also perform computing tasks. And what this provides is much more flexibility in terms of the solutions you can use in a single unit. So for instance, you can take advantage of our capability to run Python to do some light machine learning, some data analysis. AI, you're going to have to pass that to the server. I believe there was a question about that. But you can run algorithms, much more sophisticated algorithms, to extract information from that data. And using our capability to run web applications, so using the SCADAPack 47i's web server, you can present that direct to the user, so long as they have a connection and a device, like a phone, with a web browser. Further to that, it's heavily designed to satisfy emerging OT security needs. Now, quite candidly, Canada and the US are laggards, in my opinion, compared to much of the world. But sadly, I think there's just one bad event, like unfortunately Colonial Pipeline, before those regulations come hard back down. And so this sets the stage for you, if you need this now, or you're looking for this in the future, to satisfy in a sustainable, economic, efficient way wider needs for OT security. And I'll go over that in more detail. Okay, where are SCADAPacks typically used? About half our business is water, 40-something% is oil and gas, or energy and chemical in the Schneider terms. The rest of that, we have some odd applications. We do a fair bit of solar work, actually in India. So that's an emerging thing. We do some shore boxes in Europe, but really any place where rugged controls needed, we can provide that. The core focus of water and oil and gas. Okay. Right, I think these are a bit redundant. Okay, so what is EROE? So EROE is designed as a solution that runs on the SCADAPack 47xi. So there's two software packages. There's the studio to develop your EROE applications, and then there's the runtime that's included with every SCADAPack 47xi. And as I mentioned, what can you do with it? Very briefly, you can make very nice, very attractive web applications that run on your 47xi. It can be specific to your general application. It can be done site by site. Has lots of nice graphics that go with our industries, water, oil, and gas. And again, Joe will show some of that. So it's a good solution for that, where you want a soft HMI, where you want to avoid the cost, complexity, or fragility, perhaps, of a physical HMI. Certainly in some geographies like West Texas or in the Middle East, that's a major problem. HMIs just don't last. Okay. Next set of things, as I mentioned, it allows you to run in a very easy way. There's other ways to do this with the 47xi, Python code. Python, of course, is the default language for edge analytics. So you can use this code, take advantage of these libraries, extract the information from the reams and mountains of data the SCADAPack can collect for you, and then present that to the user or present that to the SCADA. So reducing the need for bandwidth, allowing the operator on site to make much more intelligent decisions much more quickly. It also provides a lot of flexibility in terms of communication. It does add a wider range of communications drivers for protocols traditionally we haven't supported. Okay, as I mentioned, consists of two components. So EROE Studio, PC application, develop your screens, your Python code, etc. IoT View, so that's the runtime engine, and that I should mention is licensed by points. 150 objects or points, that's comes included with each SCADAPack 470i or 474i. You can purchase upgrade licenses for 300 and 1500. Okay. So some other interesting things in more detail you can do. Okay, so we talked about the soft HMIs. You can use the scripting language if you have a cell modem connection or an email server connection. to actually set the SCADAPack up to send text messages or emails or receive them and interpret those responses if they conform to the programmed pattern, of course. This is something we've had requested by some customers in Europe where they see this as a useful backup to their SCADA systems, or in one case, believe it or not, actually as an alternative to SCADA, which I thought was odd. But anyway, it's a very useful function, certainly where you have a more restricted duty roster. So again, the SCADAPack can look that up, see who's on call, contact that person, wait a certain time. If they don't get an acknowledgement, proceed to the next person. So this can be a useful capability. As I mentioned, it includes factory supported protocols like MQTT, Sparkplug, OPCUA, CIP, or Ethernet IP as well. And as I mentioned, you can again take advantage of the wide-ranging open capabilities of Python, run that very easily, and use that to extract information. Okay, so more detail in soft HMIs. Again, perhaps you want to do this because you have issues with the physical HMIs. Maybe not. So as I mentioned, it has this rich library. And here's an example one of our colleagues in Australia made for a customer for their lift station. You can use, again, any device that has a web browser. So it could be a laptop, a tablet, a phone, etc., to access that. And it can link with our role-based access control system on the 47xi. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can, again, take advantage, if you have that connection to a cell modem or an email server, to contact operators directly or other systems. Okay, so here's an example one of our colleagues made when we were finishing off the development of it, of a graphic created in Python using the SCADAPack 47xi. So this, again, allows you to run Python code. You can use this to further optimize your control algorithm. Again, taking advantage of that massive community of open source code that's designed around data analysis. You can present this operator on site. You can present this more sophisticated information to the SCADA, to the cloud, to other services, again, to drive more intelligent decision-making, deeper analysis of what's going on. Okay, and let's see, drivers. I should also mention we have Modbus ASCII, DF1, if you ever encounter that, the ROC protocols. Some other interesting features in terms of the water communication is it supports SQL databases, so you can write to these directly on the RTU or send this to such a database on a server, and it enables communication with other tools like Aviva Pi directly from the RTU. Okay, so something we've also released at the same time, and this is available on the website, is SCADAPack 47xi lift station libraries. So what this is, very briefly, we used to have a solution called RealStream. And what we did with RealStream, this goes back a number of years, is we took an older SCADAPack, a 334E specifically, pre-configured it to act as a simple but capable lift station solution, and we actually tried to sell it as such. And we sold it to a few customers, so we were happy with that. Now, we've moved ahead a number of years. Those customers are looking for an upgrade where they exist. At the same time, we know it can be very helpful to our system integrators if they have models or something to reduce their engineering hours, right? So what we did instead is we created this open lift station libraries. So they're open, they're available. Someone who needs to replace a RealStream solution, they're happy with a more basic solution, they can use that out of the box. Well and good. Also, though, it's free to download. It's open. It can be used as a model of how to more quickly develop perhaps a more sophisticated solution. So again, this is open, free to adapt. So what does it include? So it includes the application for the SCADAPack 474. It's the 474i, easy enough to switch between types. So with data logging control, It includes the soft HMI, both in EROE and in Node-RED, for those who prefer to use those tools. It's set up for DMP3 communication, and we have the corresponding GeoSCADA driver for the, or template, set up so you can enable it that way. And here's a screenshot on the right. Oh, I had a whole slide for this. Okay, so yes, we have the configuration, the logic, the GeoSCADA template, and the soft HMI available, as I mentioned, in EROE and Node-RED. And it's both a PC and a mobile device, soft HMI, so it switches automatically between the two. So what do we include with that? Control for 4 pumps using float level floats or level transmitters, the ability to control it from GeoSCADA from one of the 2 soft HMIs. And as I mentioned, the logic's open, so you can take it, you can modify it, you can repurpose it, you can expand it, you can perhaps turn it into a different type of water asset quite easily. It's designed to be extended with our OT security using our RBAC features. If you're using EROE, you can layer on additional protocols if that's what you or your customer needs. Perhaps set it up to email operators when there's an alarm, and extend it further, as I mentioned, taking advantage of piping.
Hey, James, I just wanted to poll the audience here. Any questions so far on anything James has presented, or anything you're interested more about or wanted to learn, maybe a little bit deeper dive?
Don't be shy.
All right, well, something comes up, please feel free to throw it out in the chat and continue on, James.
Okay. So very briefly, I'll talk about some of the roadmap highlights. So this we launched at the beginning of the year. We have IEC 62243 product certification. So if you're not familiar with it, this is emerging as the default standard for cybersecurity for OT equipment. So we certainly have long claimed compliance with it. Now we have an external body validate that. Let's see, do we have a question? Okay, so Tom, how is Ethernet IP supported? Okay, fair question. So let's see, I'll go back to here. So candidly, it's not a natively Ethernet IP device. However, using EROE has built into it a sophisticated Ethernet IP driver that was developed by Schneider's wholly owned subsidiary Aviva. And that Ethernet IP driver resides on the Linux processor within the EROE application. So that's how that's supported. And you can then exchange information within the SCADAPack using various means that perhaps Joe will describe in his demo. Right. Okay. So, Joe, you're going to show the MQTT stuff. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Good. In terms of Floyd, to answer your question, how's the licensing done? Let's see. Go back. So EROE Studio is a software package. If anyone happens to be familiar with it, it's an OEM version of Aviva Edge Studio, also known as Indusoft, if you're familiar with that tool. And so you need to purchase the Studio application. I'd love to give it away to free for you, of course, maybe not, but we do have to pay Aviva for it, candidly. So you purchase that PC application, that's your tool to develop your applications. In terms of the licensing on the RTU, it's licensed by the number of objects supported inside the EROE project. 150 are free. You can then purchase upgrades to 300 objects or 1,500 objects. And those objects correspond to essentially variables that can be associated with one or more protocols.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that the Studio is just a one-time fee. It lives on that computer, and then you get 150 objects free with the iSeries SCADAPack. So if you had a bunch of SCADAPacks and you were doing small HMIs, it would really only be about $1,000 to get that studio license on one computer. Perfect. Thank you, James.
No problem. Okay. Right. So what we're working on now, and it is actually available in beta, is so we've done some expansion to our role-based access control. And Mike, it is a separate license from Indusoft. Okay. So in terms of our role-based access control, just very briefly, it's an optional feature of the SCADAPack 47xi. And what you can do is you can set your SCADAPack 47xi to link to OT accounts across your OT network that can be managed by tools you or your IT people will know and understand, like Active Directory or PAMs like CyberArk and SolarWinds. So you can have accounts across that network. And then you can link specific access to units to those accounts very easily. In the same way your IT very likely manages your access to your laptops or your desktops you use right now. Do that in a few clicks. And then you can associate specific privileges to read or write, different types of content. Linux content, the control application, the flow computer application if you have one, or you can mix them all together. You can also do this as a local version device by device if you prefer. So what we're expanding that with is for very large organizations, they sometimes have a redundant LDAP servers or parallel ones to manage their accounts in case one goes down. So we're adding support for up to 4. We're adding a flow driver specifically for the latest Foxborough Coriolis meter. If anyone here is familiar or uses the DLog protocol, which is a proprietary extension to Modbus that was developed way back in the 90s, we're porting that to the SCADAPack 470 and 470i just to help user migration. And we have some very clever and useful things to make Remote Connect even easier to use. Okay, this may or may not be of interest, but one thing we're adding as well, and hopefully coming up by the end of the year or November, is SCADAPack 470R. What this is, we took a SCADAPack 470i, we inscribe an R on it. Underneath that, though, we write the firmware to enable redundant control, redundant DMP3 events, redundant data concentrator capabilities. So you take these two controllers, you put them in the same panel, or technically any place where they're connected to each other. One runs as the active controller, one sits there, stays in sync in terms of the logic, in terms of the event database, as the standby controller. The active controller goes down, someone say pulls the power, changing the battery, wants to upgrade the firmware, update the application. The standby controller takes over in an almost bumpless way. So within a few hundred milliseconds, and your process continues. Then once the primary controller comes back online, it will share its application with that one, and they'll switch back and forth. So you can keep your high availability remote operations, remote processes up and running. Where we see this useful, if I'm quite candid, this is a regulatory requirement for certain very large customers in the Middle East for their pipelines or very large artificial lift systems, also in India for midstream. So that's the primary reason we developed that. That said, I do see some use for this in North America. So we've had customers in Canada in extremely remote locations where, say, they have
What's up,
one.
Nancy?
Please go ahead.
Yes, I am. You could come in. I'm muted.
Oh, you're not muted. That's all
I'm
right.
afraid you're not.
We got you muted now.
Okay. Anyway, so extremely remote infrastructure, say in the very far north of Canada, or not. So it's very much not a safety controller, but something that's extremely important to your operations, like an odorizer, for example. So perhaps it might be useful for those. That said, it's still a SCADAPack, still uses a remote connect, so you can very easily convert your simplex operations into a redundant project if that's what you need. Okay, so something else I want out really now, but realistically by the end of the year are conversion kits. Let's see, I even have the prototype of one. So these are essentially, in the case of the SCADAPack 334s, pin connectors that allow you to reuse if you're have either the white connectors or the green connectors for the 334 and its semi-depopulated derivatives, and move your I/O directly to a SCADAPack 474 or 474i without the need to rewire. We're making a similar device, although it's going to be more of a harness form factor for the SCADAPack 357 and 337e if you ever encounter one, to move that to a SCADAPack 474 and a 6606 expansion module, which takes up the same amount of panel space, again, saving you or your customers the need to rewire your I/O. Okay, some of you might be familiar with this. This is Modicon NTS Edge I/O. My colleagues in Keros who design and maintain the Modicon very nicely asked me if about 2.5 years ago if we'd be interested in using this on SCADAPack. I said, yes, I think our customers would love this. So they've made variants of it that are being released through the course of this year. I think some variants are already out that meet the mission profile of the SCADAPack. So you get the benefits of modular hot swappable I/O, where you have very large amounts of I/O, or perhaps you might need some, let's say, more esoteric I/O that isn't very common in a remote operations application, but still important to you or your customer. So, for example, HART or AC relay switching, for example. So what this provides us though is -40 to 70, Celsius I/O, class 1 division 2, G3 conformal coating. So it meets the same mission profile of the SCADAPack, but you get the benefits of PLC style I/O where that's important to you. I'd suggest where in most applications, it's probably more efficient to use SCADAPack I/O, but where you do have a lot of points or you need something less common, this will be an excellent solution. Okay, so something else we're working, I should say that's supported right now. We do have some plans just to make it even easier to integrate, hopefully by the end of the year. So cell modem, our target right now is early Q2, end of Q1 next year. This is a cell modem card. It will be 4G, 5G that plugs into the top of the SCADAPack 47xi. So you get the benefit of just having one tool to configure your solution, including the cell modem now using Remote Connect. It will have dual SIM support if that's important to you. If anyone's curious, that's an important requirement in India. Yes, it will support eSIMs if anyone's going to ask. We are planning to provide a Wi-Fi capability that can be hardware disabled. I should put that on the slide as well on that also. So we'll have a built-in Wi-Fi. You don't want it, you take the jumper or set the dip switch off. You don't have to worry about it. You do like it, it's there. So again, an operator can then sit in the comfort of his or her truck, connect to the Wi-Fi, look at their EROE web application, and make all the adjustments they need on the site, hopefully minimizing their time inside a panel or avoiding it if unnecessary. Okay, so we have some more cybersecurity plans. So again, further 62243 compliance. Compliance with the CRA in the European Union. So that's going to be a requirement for selling new OT equipment. Not a direct problem to you guys, obviously a major challenge for me. I think we actually comply now, but we have to go through the effort of validating that. Some major full computer changes. So we're going to be adding a CAN driver. Oh dear, Joe, I'm eating up all your time. For DMP3 to the flow computer to make it easier to use. Easier to use multiple meter factors. I know you can do that through Logic. We'll provide support for that directly in the GUI and provide the flow calculations for the 470R. Okay, any questions before I hand it over to Joe? Looks like you're up, Joe.
Fantastic. Can everybody see my screen and more importantly, my face?
Well,
I
that
cannot
mustache
see
is
your
new.
screen.
Oh, sorry. I meant, can you hear me and see my my camera as well?
We can. You're looking good.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think I've had the opportunity to meet most people on this call, but for the people I have not met, I'll do a brief introduction. My name is Joe Durrance. I work on the SCADAPack team for the 470i series specifically. I focus mostly on Linux applications, but a little bit more about my background. I come from water, wastewater, controls electrician background, and actually Schneider came out to do a training at our water plant, and I was in the middle of a big Linux project, and I got super excited about the I-Series and its capabilities. So I jumped on team as fast as I can, and that was about 2 years ago. So I've been with the company just about 2 years. And yeah, I actually just relocated recently to the Northeast. I moved up here yesterday, so I've got boxes all over the place and demo kits not completely unloaded. So for our live demo, I've actually got William Way, my colleague, to share his screen, and then I'm going to be doing the talking in the background. So what we want to show is essentially the EROE HTML pages, the web pages that we can build on EROE. Then I want to talk a little bit about how we build those inside of EROE Studio. And then I want to show that we can also build the same things in Node-RED, which requires a more open source approach. Instead of a canned application designed and built by Schneider Electric, the Node-RED is more of like a kind of like you build it yourself using more open source software. And then I want to talk about the MQTT question that we had. So with that, William, would you mind sharing your screen and showing us the EROE HTML page?
I wouldn't mind, but I don't have access to the sharing screen feature in this Teams.
Oh, no. Taylor, do you think you could grant William access to share his screen?
Yeah, let me try to figure that out.
Sweet. And then I guess while y'all are figuring that out, I'll answer the last question doing MQTT tags. I'm going to show specifically the Node-RED way to do that. So I just threw my screen up. Can everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
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 Fantastic. All right. So this is how we're going to do MQTT, and this is not SparkPlug-B. We can do SparkPlug-B, but this is just a more generic MQTT driver that's included in the Node-RED download. So for those of you that don't know what Node-RED is, it's just a graphical-based programming language that you can actually do some logic on and then also build web pages. It started back in the IoT home automation world over a decade ago, and it's now become very popular in the industrial IoT world. It's really easy to learn how to use. There's tons of things that you can build, and even better, there's tons of things on the Node-RED library that have already been built. So if you have an idea for an application, or if the SCADAPack I-Series specifically can do an application, you can just go to Google and type in Node-RED followed by whatever you're trying to accomplish. So the first time that I did MQTT on the SCADAPack I-Series, I actually just went to Google and I said MQTT driver Node-RED, and I found one. And this is the logic for it that you're seeing. Just a brief tour so that we all know how Node-RED works. Over here on the left side of the page, this is our node palette. So these are all of these pre-canned functions. And if you want to add an MQTT driver, it's as easy as just going to Google and typing MQTT Node-RED. And there's tons of instructions, pre-made drivers already. If you want to do SparkPlug-B, it's just another driver that you download onto your SCADAPack directly. So what we're doing here, and it's grayed out right now because I am not connected to a broker, so we would just be sending messages completely. So if you're unfamiliar with the architecture of MQTT, you have to have a broker in the middle because the broker is essentially interpreting the messages coming from all of the end devices and then delegating who those messages need to go to, or based on people that subscribe to what are called topics. So here in just the vanilla, very plain version of MQTT, what we're doing is we're using this, a very simple inject node. So all we're doing is we're injecting the name of an object and the attribute of that object. So for example, right here, I'm trying to read SCADAPack 470 analog input 1. So all I need to do is inject that value into this read function. And I should pause here and tell you all of these read functions are actually built by Schneider Electric. So if you're curious on how they work and you want to do some more Linux stuff in the background, all you have to do is double click on one of these and hit edit subflow template. And here's where you can actually see how that object is operating. That's not super important for this call, so I'll continue. So what we do is we just inject, I want to read analog input 1 into this function. And then what it does is it's going to spit out a raw value. And so what we do is we use this MQTT node, and the topic for this is just test. And what we do is we broadcast that up to our broker. And so we've set up a broker. I have a little Mango router. It's a very simple way to set up an MQTT broker. And I'm just sending messages to that. And then what I'm doing here is I'm subscribing to that test
Joe,
topic.
quick
Yep.
interruption. Because I think I got the access. Your screen is no longer shared, so you might want to.
Perfect.
reshare.
Oh yeah, now I don't have access to share screen. So
You don't have access?
yeah, but that's okay. I got the gist of the node of the MQTT package in Node-RED. I want to see who specifically. Lee Mace, did we answer, or did you kind of get a gist of how the MQTT packages were working in Node-RED?
Yeah, for the most part, that gets kind of onesie twosies. I think going forward, I'd like to see how we could tie things to maybe structures and do huge amounts at the same time. But we don't have to do that later.
Yeah, no. If you want to set up, if you give some time next week, I'm actually very open, and I can show you some spark plug projects that I've loaded on other SCADA packs where we're doing hundreds of reads and writes at a time.
That sounds great. Yes, like that very much.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Let me just. Sweet. And William, would you mind sharing your screen so we can show the arrow side of this?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Nice.
All right. So what William is showing you right now, this is EROE Studio. So this is the licensed software that James was talking about. You can do a trial version of the software. I think it's set to 7 days. But that gives you the ability to at least load the software and interact with it and see kind of how it works. But what William's showing you right now is the MQTT driver sheet. And over here, you can see that he's got tag names associated with IO addresses. And William, would you mind explaining a little bit what is going on in the background here?
Yeah, so these two tags, this is an example of these two tags are for the EROE's environment itself. You can see that in this tag list here, I have lab and temperature. This is what you would link to in any of the graphics or other logics and stuff like that in this EROE project. You have this is actually, so I have an MQTT driver sheet here, but this is an example for Sparkplug. So the station is the syntax for this would be different if you were using MQTT, but it's essentially the same. This is where you would want to send your or the address host name where you will want to send your MQTT messages, and this is where you would want to write topics or anything like that, or exactly where you want to send them to the subscribers of the broker.
Perfect.
This is where you would write them, and as well as any drivers you would want to include or are already included. The information you can find here, there's documentation for MQTT easily found through this guides in EROE.
Thanks, William. So big picture there is there's many ways to accomplish MQTT as well as different flavors of MQTT. We can use the EROE Studio to do it. as well as Node-RED. We can even use Python to do MQTT messaging. That's the glory of Linux, is it's whatever fits your architecture best. And the SCADAPack is so configurable in the Linux environment that there's many ways to accomplish one goal. So that I don't want to spend too much time on MQTT because that's not the main focus of the call. What I'd like to show now is just our EROE HTML page that we've created. Could you open that up, William?
Mhm.
Sweet. So we've got a couple different ones loaded. The first one we're going to show you is just kind of the main homepage of the EROE Studio. And then after that, we're going to show you Node-RED. So you can see William built this using the EROE Studio package, and this is the front end design of that screen. Right now, it's just running some pre-made fluctuating numbers that we've created in Control Expert. And so that logic is being, it's running on the SCADAPack, and then the EROE environment on the SCADAPack is just creating this web screen. So William can actually change values here if he needed to. You can interact with it, and that will actually write to the logic engine inside of the SCADAPack, and then relay that here back to the home page. So we're trying to show the full round trip of where data is going. And if we want to see how this works, we could actually, William, could you show the EROE Studio design page for this exact same screen?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
So over here in EROE Studio, same architecture as most Schneider software. We've got our projects over here on the left side. And you can see here is where we're just kind of building those mimics and then associating. Like, William, could you double click on high float to show how we're putting that value there? Yeah.
Oh, one moment. This is a symbol that's, by the way, this project is one of the projects in lift station libraries. So this will be available or is available already online for anyone to use.
Sweet. And so all he did was hit properties there, and under properties, you can see we have station_config_HH level, and that's actually going to match the tag name that we have in Remote Connect for that object that we've configured as well. So as long as your object names match up, then that's kind of how the link is created. So we can build as many pages as we want in EROE. I say that you probably don't want to put hundreds and hundreds of them on there, but just keep in mind if you do want to go over the 300 tag limit, you will need to purchase a larger tag library. Oh yeah, and William, could you also show just the object browser and Remote Connect so we can show how these tag names match up or object names match up?
There is something I want to correct you on.
Yes.
The tag names for EROE, while they are the same here, that's just for the project. The way they are connected from EROE to the SCADAPack is through a driver sheet, which is
That's right.
the SPack driver sheet that is included. And similar to the MQTT one, you write tag name for the variables or tags in EROE, and then this field IO address is where you would relate them to the SCADAPack and how you access them also in Node-RED as well through the edge application access. But
Thanks so much.
Yeah, for that reason, the tag names can technically be anything you want, but I have them match the same for simplicity's sake.
Perfect. So does anyone need more clarification on how tags are linked between Remote Connect, EROE, and Node-RED? Because if not, I'd like to show you a very similar page that we've created inside of Node-RED for this exact same project. Because I know we're getting close on time, so I want to leave at least a few minutes for questions. So this is the EROE page that we just showed, and now William's going to click on a Node-RED tab. And very similar architecture, but this was built completely inside of Node-RED. And keep in mind, we have demo projects for everything that we're showing you here, as well as the same screens being built in GeoSCADA. So we can show the information in 3 different places. It's just whatever fits your architecture best. Oh, and then also we should probably talk about, we can build pages for mobile web viewers. And what's good about Node-RED and EROE is, well, I think on EROE, you need to define which screens would be for different aspect ratios and different sizes. So going from desktop to mobile. But in Node-RED, you can actually build one screen and it'll kind of auto interpret based on what screen is presented to it, how to show the aspect ratio and render the page. But it is super nifty, and right now we're kind of in that we want to show it off phase. So if you'd like more information on this, I'll put my email here in the chat for anybody who wants to get a deeper understanding of EROE, or maybe we can even just build a demo page together. And yeah, with that, I'm going to put it over to questions because we've got just 4 minutes left in the meeting. Thanks, Shane. Cool. Mark, I'm going to give it back over to you. And thanks again, everybody, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Joe. I just want to thank everybody for coming and joining us today. My contact is here in the chat. Neal Systems is an exclusive partner with Schneider Electric, specifically for the SCADAPack and GeoSCADA. We'd love to follow up with on-site meetings, demonstrations, anything you guys need to make your SCADA successful. We'd like to partner with you on that. So with that, enjoy your Friday, enjoy the nice weather upcoming, and we look forward to seeing you again shortly. Thank you.